decentralized mechanism will mean it's more secure also, rather than a centralized mechanism. All of that, kung ano yung mismong technology, kasi there have been a lot of talk about baka may napili na daw ng mga vendors na gagawa nito. Lahat po yan, iniiwan ho namin yan sa implementor. That's not up to us. That's not up to the law. That's up to the implementors. But even during the implementation phase, and the ICT will have a big role, of course, ASEC, Miggy, and USEC Dave are here, babantayan rin natin yan. And we will make sure that that process is very transparent and that we will allow real groups to really bid for it. In fact, I'm posing the challenge now. Kung may mga grupo po dito who want to see this through, why don't you bid for it at zero cost? We've got different groups here. Some are private sector, some are academe, some are NGOs. Bid for it at zero cost. Kung yun ang concern ng mga raming tao. No, I know that we've also been working with groups like SGV, groups to have a lot of resources also. Come together. Let's do this. Baka pwede natin itong gawin. Citizens action talaga. Why not? Napakatalino po ng mga tao na nandito. No, maybe that's something we can look forward to. But that will happen much later on. After the law is passed, after the IRR is made, dun pa lang po gagawin yan, no? Kung sino ba talaga yung grupo. That's phase 2 and phase 3. And if you look at the timeline in the current version, that's within 2 years and within 3 years. But what we want to see within 2026 is really phase 1, which is all of the documents that are detailed in Section 5, and People's Budget Coalition supported us with the different listing, DBM supported us with a different listing of documents, na lahat yan available na sa publiko by next year. If we're able to get this passed by the first quarter of 2026, sa timeline po natin na phase 1, lahat ng mga data na yan, mga dokumentong yan, should be available to the public already, even before the end of 2026. At ang nilagay ho natin, and I'm sure marami ho nagulat, narinig ko during the TWG, naglagay ho tayo ng mga penalty. Kung may mga dokumento na hindi po na-publish ng ahensya sa kanilang website, and I'm talking about phase 1, within the time allotted, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's now at 7 days, no? At 7 days, the responsible officer will be penalized administratively. If after 30 days, hindi pa napopost yung kontrata, yung bill of materials, kung sino yung nagwaging contractor, it then becomes a criminal offense. And this is the first time in our history na maglalagay tayo ng criminal offense sa mga hindi mag-share ng data na nakalagay sa ating batas. If found that what was hidden na kontrata is fraudulent, then the responsible officer for sharing that data can be charged as a co-conspirator of the groups who are involved in the fraudulent activity. Mabigat po yan. Mabigat po yan. And I know that many government workers gusto rin po nila gawin yung tama. Gusto rin po nila gawin yung hinahanap ng taong bayan na malinis na gobyerno. And I know that many of these government workers, yung mga director level at yung mga responsable po sa mga gantong klaseng mga transaksyon, many of them want to do the right thing. And I'm sure, even though it might be difficult in the beginning, kasi, added work po yan, ang hinahanap ng taong bayan, mailabas natin yung mga kontratang yan, mailabas natin yung mga bill of materials na yan, para makita ng taong bayan. We also put, since nakikita ko si Yusik Dave, talagang nakapokus sa akin, we also put in the bill that Kadena can be integrated with the eGov app, and maybe we can just have one portal for all of government, no? Which is one of the goals of the ICT. Na itong mga datos na ito, mahahanap mo rin siya sa mga app na currently ginagawa na ng gobyerno. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. There are many different initiatives already, from eGov to PhilJeps and all of that. But ito pong gusto natin na mailabas yung kung saan ginagamit ang pera ng bayan, yan po yung pinaka-primary na nais po natin makita. No? So, that's just an overview for everyone today. I hope we're all on the same page. For today, I will ask Jose, our legislative staff officer, who's the one directly handling the bill, to go through every part. No? So, nung last time mo kasi, last hearing natin, overview talaga siya. We requested everyone to talk about the benefits of a secure platform, the benefits of having data out there. And I'd like to thank all of the resource speakers from the last hearing. But today we're going to go a little technical. We're going to go per part. And then every part, we're going to open the floor for discussion. We'll limit it to about 5 minutes. So, ano po to? Unahan? Okay? Yung pinaka merong gustong sabihin, just raise your hand. We will call you for every part. It's not really provision by provision or line by line. It's part by part, no? So, we're going to chunk it into different salient points. Magsasalita po tayo for about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Kung meron pa kayong gustong ibanggit, we can accept it in paper later on, no? There might be some parts which are more interesting than others, so baka hahabaan po natin ng konti yung oras. But we're gonna do that, and I hope to finish by 12, okay? So we'll hope to finish by noontime. Last time, nag-overtime tayo ng mga 45 minutes, no? So this time, we'll try to finish by 12. But don't worry, kung di po kayo nakapagsalita sa mic, we can accept your suggestions on paper. And as you've seen, we've been trying our best to really accommodate all of the suggestions from all of the experts. Okay? So I'm going to pass the floor to Jose, and I'll manage the back and forth for the Q&A. Jose.
All right, good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for their contribution in the crafting of this latest version of the bill. It's been a long journey for me, at least, since we first filed back in September, and I think this is reflected in how different and improved the current version of the bill is. So, without next slide, please. Today, I would like, next slide. Today, I would like to introduce to you the Cadena Act. The objective of this presentation is to give a view of the latest version of the bill, which is very much different from the first filing version. So, what does Cadena stand for? It stands for Citizen Access and Disclosure of Expenditures for National Accountability. This bill represents a landmark step in our country's push for open government. It mandates that all transactions involving public funds are recorded in a secure, verifiable, and publicly accessible platform. So, yeah. So for this section, section 2, the Declaration of Policy. This section outlines the guiding philosophy of the law. The transparency and accountability are cornerstones of democracy. Cadena operationalizes these values through technology. It institutionalizes honesty in governance by requiring that all budget documents be made publicly available. In other words, transparency will no longer depend on voluntary disclosure of PDFs and other documents. It will be built into the system itself, automated and verifiable by design. Next slide, please. For section 4, this section
we skipped the section 3 definition of terms because that's the newest one. We just finalized it yesterday. So anyway, we'll route it later. Or it's routed already.
It's been routed to the
to everybody. We'll bring it up again later. Sige, go.
So section 4 defines who and what this act covers. It applies to all national government departments, bureaus, offices, agencies, and instrumentalities, including GOCCs and their subsidiaries. The law also extends to programs funded through PPPs and foreign assisted projects, but only portions that use, disburse, or account for public funds through national government channels. I think it's also good to mention that local government units are not covered by the Act, but they are encouraged to adopt similar mechanisms to promote transparency at the local level. Next slide, please.
Sige, let's pause first because Section 5 is quite big. Anyone with comments on Sections 2 and 4? Sige, we'll go on with section. Yes?
Mr. Chair, may I just acknowledge also the presence of Mr. AJ Montesa, Technical Advisor from People's Budget Coalition, Mr. Jiggy Calukag, Government Relations Director from Tuala, and Attorney Mark Gorisete from Blockchain Council of the Philippines. Thank you.
Welcome. Sige, kung, again, I will reiterate, hindi naman po to finish or not finish past your paper. You can still write us again after. But, does anybody want to discuss sections 2 and 4? Yes, AJ?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had one minor, small suggestion. If we could include the word proactive in the declaration of policy for proactive disclosure.
Okay. Carried.
So Section 5 is the disclosure of public data. This section is the backbone of the Act because it lists every document that must be uploaded, published from the budget call, the National Expenditure Program, the GAA, down to disbursement vouchers and audit reports. It mandates that all documents related to the national budget process, from preparation to execution, must be uploaded and disclosed through to the Cadena system. So one of the points that's important to mention is the head of the procuring entity or HOPE is designated as the accountable officer responsible for ensuring that all required budget data are disclosed. These documents, as Mr. Chair mentioned earlier, must be published within 7 days from their approval, issuance, or completion, whichever comes first. More importantly, any corrections or updates made to these records must be versioned, meaning earlier entries are retained to preserve traceability and auditability. In short, Section 5 turns transparency into a legal obligation, ensuring that every agency consistently publishes accurate and verifiable budget data that the public can access.
Can you read for the record na all of the documents that we now refer to as public budget data?
Next slide, please. So these are all the documents. Yeah. From budget preparation, budget call, budget preparation forms submitted by agencies through the online submission of budget proposal portal, National Expenditure Program, budget of expenditure and sources of financing, President's budget message, letter B, budget legislation documents, General Appropriations Bill or GAB versions, individual, committee, and bicameral amendments, the General Appropriations Act, and then C, budget execution and fund release documents, agency-level budget execution documents, disbursement vouchers, registry of allotments, obligations, and disbursements, fund utilization reports, allotment release orders, notices of cash allocation, other fund release documents including cash disbursement ceilings, CDCs, multi-year contractual authority, and others. Now for D, which is a focus on infrastructure and procurement-related documents. This includes bid announcements and invitations to bid, notices of award and notices to proceed, contracts and purchase orders, program of works, bill of quantities, detailed unit price analysis, records of competing bids, inspection and acceptance reports, delivery receipts, disbursement vouchers, progress billings, and completion certificates, corporate and beneficial ownership disclosures, certifications of good standing, and other related documents. For letter E, budget accountability documents, agency financial statements, COA annual audit reports, agency action plan and status of implementation, agency performance review reports and budget and financial accountability forms, And lastly, records of oversight hearings, performance audits, and corrective action reports.